Ah,
All right.
lean not into thine own understanding. That's what I know.
So let me ask you something, Jag.
Yeah.
You had came to Dallas, and then you had really wanted to put on for Dallas artists. So I got to get your take on 50 Cent had recently just went to Shreveport, and he put on this whole
I
extravaganza.
hate that.
Yeah, Hurricane Chris has come to the blogs and said, "How could you come here to our place and not put on those Shreveport legends? And you could spend 500, $500,000 on security to keep the hood out or to keep the hood from going
Cause he
crazy."
don't give none of them about none of them boys.
Oh,
He don't give a about Louisiana. Cause I tell you one thing: the second that Curtis got down there, right before me and my son were separated from each other, we went home for a visit, and the fishing hole that we went to, where fish are normally jumping, all of a sudden died. There was nothing out there.
wow.
You could smell the poison in the water, which of course would irrigation, which of course would bring storms around. You know, you gotta like multimillionaires when they start creating tragedies to pretend to be heroes for. Why did Curtis Jackson lie to everybody? Why doesn't Curtis Jackson tell people that he has a house in Carrollton and he's had a house in Carrollton for over 7 years? That he comes down here getting a lay of the land, hiring private investigators to follow people around. Why didn't he tell anybody that Millennium Studios, which is now G Unit Studios, was already there? Why is he pretending like he built it from the ground up? He didn't. He bought it. I know Millennium. I used to go there all the time.
Yeah, it did exist.
Yeah, I know. So why did he lie to everybody? Why did he tell everybody his studio was going to be in Texas? Why did he keep it so quiet? Why did nobody in Shreveport know that he was making such a large acquisition? There would have to be some kind of paperwork there. It's almost as if that sale happened overnight. Not even anyone in the clerk's office knew about it, and I would know. I know the clerk. That's my town.
Yeah, you be in Shreveport.
Those are my people.
Yeah.
And let's just be honest, I'm probably more respected over there than Bebe and his fucking Coco Pele, which wasn't nothing but a setup spot for Dallas boys to come in and rob Shreveport boys. It's funny how that always seemed to happen. Dallas coming down to Shreveport, robbing Shreveport, while Bebe was spinning.
We can't let you make a division between the Dallas and the
I'm
Shreveport.
not. What I am saying is this. Why is Bebe Dallas when he's in Dallas and Shreveport when he's in Shreveport? But he acknowledges Dallas and Shreveport, but he does not acknowledge Shreveport and Dallas. You can't have it both ways. City and ride on it.
Mm. Now, speaking of cities,
The only reason he's still in Shreveport is because the little bit of Dallas money he makes goes so much further there. That's the only reason. He just want to be able to take a couple dollars, Dallas dollars, go over there to Shreveport, make it look like he done made it. But the truth is, he ain't rose up no higher in Dallas at all. And he ain't going to. He just pump faking. So if you got a fraud like Bebe fronting on Shreveport like that, and I'm sorry, when's the last time I can ask anybody to play a Webby record in Dallas? How much Louisiana music is that Louisiana boy playing here in Dallas? Not a lot. But he was always playing Dallas records at Coco Belly, acting like he made it big. Kind of like Erykah Badu leaving South Dallas and moving to White Rock and thinking that was a flex. What is it with all of these pretenders? And now they got an even bigger one named Curtis Jackson. They should check the EPA report since he's been there and the toxic waste he's been allowing to be dumped around the property of Millennium Studios for cheap cash. And I'm not saying allegedly, Curtis. I know what you've been doing. You don't get no about what happens to those people in that town, but I do. I love the people in that town. I just wonder how you like that man I sent you. Because he really didn't think you was going to go for him. You, Curtis, you better do right by Shreveport, or I'm going to let everybody know that Diddy Doo Wop Bop ain't the only taste you got.
So, just to switch gears,
Curtis. I'm sick and tired of him. I'd have more respect for him if he came out the closet.
It seems like
Because he's a lot more Bogart than Brooklyn.
It seems like 50 Cent is trying to take down Diddy.
No, he's trying to move Diddy and Jay-Z out the way so he can run it. And the truth is, I ain't mad at him. I just don't trust him. Because the truth is, he would just be another kind of monster in another kind of way. He don't want things to change. He just want to be the one that's running it. See? Easiest thing to do is to take your enemy's feet and hold them to the fire for things you know that they won't admit. Which is why when that C&D came out, he took all of that Diddy shit down. Because of his tape. Say. I just wish, listen to me, make you no mistake about it. 50 is pure hip hop, pure MC. And he'll just like Mike Tyson. Does every time Mike Tyson stuck his makes him any less the killer that he is in the ring? See, and I think that's the problem that people don't understand when it comes to this hypersexuality in hip hop and masculinity. A lot of people don't realize a lot of the archetypes and everything that they built on are built around Roman soldiers, Greek soldiers who used butt breaking as a way to trauma bond with each other so that they would kill for each other on the field. You got to think about it. Real soldiers back in those days, they didn't spend a lot of time around women. Women were something that happened or something that you did to have babies with. But most of your time was spent with the men in the field. Y'all saw the movie. Did anybody see Brokeback Mountain? You want to know what was the saddest thing? Being on tour buses and watching go broke back right before your very eye.
Oh, shit. Damn.
You would have never thought. And then the next thing you know, they're all watching together.
Damn.
I'm sorry. I don't trust men. I've been on too many tours. I don't trust men who sit around watching together. You're not watching the inside of these women. You're being aroused by watching. Not yours. You're programming your mind to see this as normal. Constantly seeing a bunch of around all the time. When y'all go to the bathroom as men and you're around the urinals, and y'all just sitting there with your junk hanging out. Hey, guy, how you doing? My junk is out. You want to watch me piss?
Shit,
That would look strange.
What the fuck?
That would look strange. Why are these doing this shit on the road? See, it's the bonding experience. And then your real predatory people like the Diddy and them, they got somebody that's watching you on the road to see how far you're willing to go so when they bring you to the house. What they're doing to homosexuality is wrong. Because homosexuality has nothing to do with being a sodomite. It has nothing to do with none of that other stuff. It's not that at all. It's just the preference of the person that you love. It shouldn't be deciding what contracts you sign that are going to change the rest of your life, not your sexuality. It shouldn't have anything to do with any of that. So why is this so heavy? Why is it so prevalent?
Should being openly gay close doors?
No, being openly gay should just be being openly gay. It should have nothing to do with doors. And the saddest part about it is these people aren't openly gay. They're forced to stay in the closet, which means they're forced to do what? Live a lie. You get used to living one lie, you can live any lie.
Look,
Let's be honest about Faith Evans. How does a woman with that much talent end up married to somebody like Stevie J? Really? Or maybe years ago you decided to be a hip hop plant because you didn't think your light skinned fat ass was ever gonna get a real shot. And so you took that shot. You were a single mom and your back was up against the wall. Think about it from this angle. Everything we know. Ask me how much different Faith life, her whole life look, career look. Diddy told her he was gonna kill Biggie. She knew it was gonna happen. She was purposefully not by her husband's side that night. It happened, and she was told she had to lie about it. And guess what? That lie held up until that boy turned 18. And he started having ideas of what he wanted to do with what he inherited. Because the paperwork was set up for Faith to not be able to receive $1 from Biggie's estate unless it was for little Christopher. And she only had one child with Christopher. The other children who required taking care of and feeding and all of them couldn't be fed off of Christopher Wallace's money. They weren't his kids. See how that works?
right. I wonder what
And then
Gene Deal would say about this. He was right there too, right?
I mean, you heard what Gene said. He really never had much contact with Faith.
Oh, yeah.
And the little bit of contact that he had with her, he was surprised as well. You heard him say it. It didn't make any sense. Her and Biggie.
Yeah.
It didn't make any sense to anyone. It shouldn't have made any sense to them because they were married in 10 days. It's funny, when you ask Faith how long her and Biggie was together before they got married, the story changes every time. It was 10 days, it was 20 days, it was this days, it was that days. My second marriage, I told y'all, I got married after 21 days. Has that ever changed? Y'all talked to me and my second husband separately. Did the story ever change? Why does hers? All the time. It was this, it was that, it was this, it was that. I'm not saying that she didn't develop feelings for him. I'm not saying that she didn't care about the father of her son. I'm saying she was hired for one job. Her being involved with Pac in the midst of all of that. But she didn't know Pac was Pac. I mean, come on. None of this shit makes sense. What really does make sense is that Diddy has had a long career of using pussy to trap niggas into making them do what he wants to do or using them to move them out the way. How is Faith Evans any different than Lauren London? How? No difference at all. Struggling artists trying to make their way up, not getting the break that they needed. All of a sudden, they stand next to the right guy, and then now you know that guy is dead and they're okay for life.
Right.
You know how many people in the business that happens to? Let's look at Khalees. What makes her any different than Lauren London or Faith? I got a better one for you. Camille Cosby. Do you know what? You know she's part white.
Yeah.
She's a Rothschild. The Luciferian motherfuckers that co-own YouTube, that are friends with the monster, Leora Cohen, that mentored and backs Jay-Z. Camille is a Rothschild. Y'all didn't know that, did you? It's funny nobody wants to seem to admit it. Or the oil that was supposed to have been under that property that was sold through a private this or a private that, and so on and so on and so forth. Did Bill Cosby marry the love of his life, or did he marry an industry plant? Other question. Everyone knows Bill Cosby is a villain now, but does anybody know whether or not he was a victim?
Ooh.
Because butt breaking has been around for a long time.
He's like the only black celebrity to get like, he was so big. And how did they just choose him randomly?
He was huge, just like Will Smith out of nowhere. You want to know what's funny? Him and Sidney Poitier, those movies, they were only supposed to get one, and they ended up getting a few. Picture this. Hypothetically, Sidney Poitier ain't one that had to do the deed. So he let old Bill get drugged so they could get that budget. Don't forget, the tunnels from Diddy's house led to Hugh Hefner's house. That naked pool was down there long before Diddy was able to buy a home. It was Hugh Hefner's house where most of the offenses that the women accused Bill Cosby of took place. The Playboy Mansion. And everybody know Hugh Hefner was filming, had cameras in the wall. I don't know. Did anybody ever ask whether or not Bill Cosby had a freak off tape?
Man.
Next thing you know, his son is dying. Next thing you know, all kinds of weird things keep on happening. All of that fame, all of that success. If they really wanted to take him down with all of this, they should have did it in the late 80s or the early 90s when he was at his most potent. That's what they did with Kobe. They dug that white girl up after he was in high school, which he doesn't remember and is not quite sure about because there was drugs and alcohol involved. See, this is the thing. All this drugging is going on, all this alcohol is going on. Is anybody asking about the cognizance of the people during the midst of some of their crimes? Because, see, I know a rapper for a fact who suffers from alcoholism, and I love him very much. And somebody approached me about him having a 7-year-old girl. And it was the first time I said, I have to plead the fifth because it's true. You know what else is also true? I know he was drunk out of his mind and high out of his mind when they sent that there. He had no idea what he was doing. Everyone that knows him knows he gets blackout drunk. He wouldn't have known whether or not that girl was 23. And guess what? This girl was used by more than one rapper. These niggas went and got this little big body to run around and a bunch of grown men lying about her age so that they could have something to set them up with. Now, what's really sad about it is Snoop Dogg has access to that tape. The question is which member of Dog Pound is he holding that over? Because he's holding it over one of them for sure.
Damn.
I tell you one thing. If I ain't want nobody to dime me out for helping set up Tupac to get killed, having somebody on tape committing statutory rape, and there's nothing they can say about it or do about it. Or the fact that that person has been an alcoholic so long, maybe nobody realized the reason why is because he's trying to kill himself. The PTSD that comes along with hip hop. Fuck all of them.
Speaking of PTSD, Suki Hana is regretting getting her face tattoos and her ass tattoos. You think what do you think about that now? Like, you get a tattoo, now you're just regretting it.
Well, what I'll say is this. I didn't get my first tattoo until I was 32 years old.
Why so
Not
long?
because I was a punk, but because I told myself I wouldn't be mature enough to put something that I would want on my body for the rest of my life until that time. Actually, it was I won't get a tattoo until I'm actually smart enough to choose something that I want to carry through my journey, or until I know I never have to commit a crime, like never rob a bank or anything like that, because I didn't want to have any identifiable. I did a lot of fucked up shit when I was a kid. I'm not gonna lie. No tattoos was really good for my freedom.
There you go. No, for real. We can't identify.
But now, as you see, I have my tattoos, and once I was convinced that I was never going to have to rob a bank, I started getting my tattoos. And
Any regrets?
no, not even this, because once upon a time, this used to say GLJ, Gerald Lahoskin Johnson. This was my wedding band, and now it says God, because that's who I actually married, and that's the only husband that was ever faithful to me.
Come on.
Everything can become something new. So if you got a bunch of shit on your face or a bunch of shit on your ass and you did it just to make people say that you was hot, or make a guy say, I like your tattoo better than her tattoo on her ass, or like, if you did shit like that, then you know what I say? I say, who gives a fuck that you don't like it? It's you. Learn to like it. The only reason you don't like it is because it didn't have meaning when you put it on you.
Hey, come on now.
Every tattoo on my body, everywhere they are, they all mean something.
There you go.
Actually, my tattoos are more like a roadmap. Even the ones in Hebrew.
That's right.
You got to know what your journey means before you start labeling it.
That's it. Facts. No, speak it, because it could go the other way.
Yeah. You know, if I got a tattoo on my body for every guy that I thought I was going to spend the rest of my life with, I would have a bunch of fucked up roses and zebras and lions all over my body trying to cover that shit up.
Oh, wow. Cool.
You want to know the dopest thing about turning this into the appropriate wedding band? Is that I got it done a month before I met him, and he never knows this is anything other than God. Everything evolves. I don't know. I just think these kids do a lot of stupid shit, and I think they get encouraged to do a lot of stupid shit. And I think their parents did a lot of stupid shit. And I think stupid is as stupid does. And I think everybody wants to be a victim, but nobody wants to have the courage to be a hero anymore. Like, come on, this whole fucking country just victim, 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 victim. They're going to pack us up real fucking fast. We a bunch of pussies out here, for real.
People like to listen to the victims.
I mean, you want to listen to a victim, but you also want to hear a victor.
Yeah, true.
Like right now, this whole politics shit is it's annoying me now that they've started the circus up.
The circus is started.
It's getting so, I don't know, it's just starting to piss me off.
Damn.
And I never thought that I would ever get to the point where I would sympathize with Donald Trump.
Damn.
But Trump really has my sympathy right now, because for the first time, he really is telling the truth and nobody's listening. He's the little boy that cried politics,
Right.
you know?
Did you watch any of the Democratic National Convention? I believe Lil Jon came out to from the window to the wall
Mm-hmm.
to the sweat dropped
And
down.
that's exactly
I'm
what's
just-
going to happen when we get invaded from the windows to the wall.
Shit. So, what are your thoughts? Because
I hope he's playing that record when they detain him, like Anne Frank. Like, this shit ain't cute. This shit ain't cute, bro. The world is looking at us and they're laughing. And no disrespect. Did Jasmine Crockett handle up on Marjorie Taylor Greene? Yes, she did.
She did.
But she sat there and she tried to validate a woman that she knows is not black.
Yeah.
And she's a black woman. And then I'm sitting there watching the teleprompter and I could tell when they were changing it because they had a different couple versions of everyone's speech. I think the most disgusting part for me was the reproductive rights racket that they were running. First, they had the white couple where the husband spoke about how terrible it was that his wife couldn't get an abortion when she needed one and she was just bleeding because the laws were so unfair. And then the next was a black woman, but it was a black woman without her husband. See, she was married, but her husband was not present. First couple, husband spoke, "This is fucked up. They fucking almost cost me my wife." And she's, honey. And then they had the black woman, married, but her husband was not present. And then she talked about how fucked up it was in Louisiana. You want to know what was interesting? If she hadn't said from her state, my home state of Louisiana, I would have thought she was from Philly or Jersey or Delaware. She didn't sound like she was from Louisiana at all. And if you're going to represent Louisiana, the one thing you want to do is sound like you're from Louisiana. Louisiana talk a certain way, got a certain language. When you represent the state, you represent the state. If you cleaning up your shit to sound like a little girl who